Hi, it's Rich Tarani with TMC. Thanks for watching. We're at ITEXPO Fort Lauderdale 2016, and Greg Gentile is with us. He is the president of Govolution. And Greg, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Doing well, thanks.
So let's hear a little bit about your company, what you guys do.
Well, we specialize in the payments industry. We're associated with a number of platforms that enable organizations to offer payment options across different channels, whether it's mobile, web, via IVR, or call centers. We provide the payment infrastructure to make that happen in a secure way and in a compliant way.
Great. Now, you're speaking on a panel related to the contact center and PCI compliance. Tell us a little bit about what people will learn in that panel.
Well, one of the big challenges in contact centers today is that they've historically used many different vendors for payment capabilities across different channels. That causes complexity in the compliance realm when they're trying to demonstrate their compliance for PCI or in other industries such as HIPAA compliance, as we talked about before. So what we do as a company is provide a single platform across all channels so that we can integrate the data in a way that makes customer experience terrific, but at the same time reducing the compliance risks associated with maintaining the platform.
Now, in terms of mobile communications, how's that changed how contact centers are accepting payments?
It's a great question because it's really revolutionized the way you have to handle compliance and customer experience. So from a mobile device today, a customer can reach out and call an agent, call an IVR system, or even through the internet access a single point of interaction with a company, whether it's to make their payment or just check the status of their bill or even to acquire services. So in a contact center world, it's very difficult for organizations to maintain compliance when they're using both premise-based and outsourced solutions. So we bridge those gaps, and we enable many technology companies to offer extended services through infrastructure, phone systems, call center software providers, CRM providers. We provide the payment component in a highly manageable platform, enabling integration with a variety of different packages.
Now, there's been so much news in the past 3-4 years about so many problems with companies getting hacked, and one of the bigger hacks in terms of just financial penalty was Target, with over $200 million of financial damage, if not reputational damage, far exceeding that amount, potential loss of sales, etc. Do you think companies in general now have learned from these experiences, and are they doing enough to mitigate the fraud and the risk, or do they have a feeling that it just won't happen to them?
Well, I think most companies are very conscious about the risks to their brand, the risks to the financial outlook of their organizations. So most organizations are working very hard to minimize those risks for their customers. The challenge is the technologies haven't always caught up with the risk scenario that they face. And so what we're finding is organizations are reevaluating the way they've approached risk management. And one of those ways, for example, is in dealing with premise-based solutions. Very often an organization believes that if their technology is interfaced via APIs to a third-party vendor who is PCI compliant, that they themselves then become PCI compliant. But the process is a little bit more complicated than that. Just because you're working with a PCI associated vendor, it doesn't necessarily mean that the data that's sensitive is not going through your networks, which then puts you into scope from a compliance standpoint.
Now, you're working with a company called Voice4Net in the contact center space, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with them and what kind of solution you're providing.
Sure. This is a great example of how we enable technology companies or service providers with secure PCI compliant platforms. Voice4Net has done a tremendous amount of development in voice over IP, IVR solutions, customer identification, and desktop agent software for call centers. What they found, though, is many of their customers wanted to use particular payment providers in the market. And so what we're doing as a company with our Velocity payment product is enabling Voice4Net to connect to any processor in the country, provide card processing or electronic check processing to any financial institution, while at the same time truly outsourcing all that's related to the PCI compliance in the transaction process.
Fantastic. Is there anything else we should know?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that one of our major distribution channels is through companies like Voice4Net. These organizations are very innovative. We've also seen organizations in mobile technology that are developing applications that are experiencing great customer satisfaction, and we support those from an infrastructure standpoint. The support of those types of vendors is not unique from a standpoint of payment providers have always worked with vendors. But what's unique is today, most organizations need multi-channel type interactions with their customers, and that's what we support. I think it's also important to note that we provide the same technology for banks, who then reoffer it as their own products. Their cash management, treasury management services expand depository solutions by offering electronic means of transmitting payments. So we provide that as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here today. This was great.
Thanks for having me.